Should he be the headman of this ship? No. Hi, I'm KB, and welcome back to Wolves on the Westwind. I'm not gonna lie. I literally just went and had some pasta and came back, and I realized that I recorded for about an hour, and I felt like I didn't really get anywhere. I felt like I didn't get anywhere. I felt like we were just talking. We were talking in circles. I'm mad at everybody. I'm mad at Darksong. I'm mad at O. And I want justice. I want justice! Are we really going to talk to him? Is he going to open up? Are we going to solve the problem? Fight or flight. After the Fiend attacks the Keen Wolf again, the crew demand answers from their headmen, and a terrible secret is revealed. Fight or flight. Okay. Okay, so we in the Fiend. We in the Fiend shit. See, this is what they were afraid of. They were afraid of the Fiend attacking again. I only got 14 of 18 health. Why is it taking so long for my health to come back? You still feel your blood boiling. It has found the pit of your stomach and is simply churning there, turning it to something awful. You have to do something. You can't just sit in the garden forever and let it define you. But how? Who, if not the people here? What if the problem isn't them? But there, your thoughts are interrupted by something very far away. The echo of a song you once heard. It's alien to your ears, familiar, but also entirely different from anything else you remember hearing. Okay. Peaceful and quiet. Full of melancholy and regret. Okay, and I'm thinking, because when we were talking to Darksong, she saw Darksong, like, standing really pale in a forest. And then we are seeing other people's memories other than O's, too. But they just are not as alarming as Orlvir's. And then not only did we see Orlvir's alarming memory, he tried to kill me. Like, he was like, ah! And I was tied up. So I'm just trying to keep those thoughts at the forefront of my mind while I'm playing this. Full of melancholy and regret. It twists your stomach into a tight knot that makes you hate it. It tiptoes across your mind like a dark shadow until it sits down on the bench next to you in an all too familiar form. You know you can't hide behind the shadow of incompetence anymore, Nadim. All of these adventures you've been on, months on your own, you've proven you have what it takes. Just given to hatred and the anger. I shouldn't have abandoned you the way I did. You aren't real. I did fail you. No, you shouldn't have. I did fail you. I did fail you, Zahir. I let the pressure get to me because I wasn't good enough to stop it. But that's over now. That's it. You spit the words out of gritted teeth, balling your fists and shaking your head as if to keep it all locked away. But all the while you know as well as he does that you are not fooling anyone. And there it is, that cruel smirk that you both detest and fear. You must understand by now. Your skin crawls as you hear his voice, racked with some deeper, darker power that sets every fiber of your being on edge. Even if you killed me, even if you could, still you cannot face him, or any of them, and least of all, yourself. And that will haunt you, even if I don't. I understand now. I understand now more than I did before. I clicked that because if she understand, I want to know. I can go back when this is over, make a stronger argument. I can make them understand too, but you won't. They aren't in the habit of giving anyone second chances, and this being over, don't be so naive, Nadim. This will never be over. You'll never be rid of me now. Above your head. It's above me now. That's what I thought of. I don't know why. There is a muted rumble of thunder, slow and rippling across the sky. It melts into a deep, blood-curdling chuckle that makes your fists curl and of their own accord. Like, imagine you're such a good person, the only thing that you have to worry about is getting kicked out of magic school, and you still magic. Like, this would cut me so much deeper if, like, she was kicked out of magic school and also had her magic stripped from her. Because then, like, that would leave me in, like, shambles. But it's like, okay, so you don't know professional magic, but you still magic. Like, you're just, like, I don't know, like, you're just freelance magic. You're just a freelance mage. Like, you know, you go from baby mage to freelance mage, and you good. In the corner of your eye, you just glimpse the golden glare of the figment's eyes as he looks at you. Here I come again. As quickly as No, the fiend did not. Here I come again! As quickly as a flitting shadow, the figment is in front of you. You try, desperately, to look away, but it is as if he is seared into your eyes so that you can never look away. There's another crack of thunder. No, that's just the laugh, though they sound so similar you aren't sure you can tell them apart anymore. Orlvir is right in the dim. There's no hope. There was never any hope. The moment that you and he and the Hetman's child all came together, why we couldn't just say Estrid? You just really gonna call her and somebody baby? Like, dang, that's disrespectful. I was never going to be able to resist. It was too easy. I knew even then you were never going to be able to defeat me. The voice grates and grates at the inside of your head. He gaslighting like a motherfucker, losing any of the tone or timbre that made it sound like Zahir. What remains in the dark, fearsome horror that lay beneath it, droning in your mind like a swarm of insects. I'm not doomed. I don't know about you. I'm not doomed. I'm not. I'm just not. I'm just not doomed. I'm that guy. Like, come on. The fiend laughs, that hideous laughter, and you flinch on the bench again. Perhaps not personally, but if you continue to keep such company, then it's only a matter of time. The Hetman's child, Orlvir, they are doomed. It is better for you to run. There is another movement. See, that's telling. That's telling. He really needs to split them up. And maybe that's probably why he's so heavy on them, is he really needs to split them up. Like, he really needs to drive a wedge between them. That whole, ooh, but they doomed. You might not be doomed, but you gotta run. That's telling. That's telling. That's telling. There's another movement in front of your eyes, again like a flitting shadow. And once again, the fiend is at your shoulder, whispering through your ear into the back of your mind. Would it help you to know how it is I really found you? Then would you understand that you cannot possibly hope to succeed? Now, there is a definite crack of thunder tearing across your head so violently that you flinch. Awaken! Your eyes flash open. Your hammock swings wildly and you flail as you roll off it, hitting the deck hard and with a wince. All around you, you hear boots stamping against wood as people run across the commons. You shake your head and you push yourself back up again, breathing hard. You feel an all too familiar sense of dread building in your gut, and you hope beyond hope that it was just a dream. But something has happened. That much is clear from the panic of the Otrasko all heading for the stairs. You just wish it wasn't. A crash of thunder interrupts your thoughts, and the boom behind it sends you rocking into the mast. You want to feel annoyed, simply frustrated that this is happening again, but you don't. You just feel angry and alone, and afraid. Naked and afraid. You want to run. You want to be left alone, but you know you can't. Past all of the pain, past all of the confusion, part of you knows this can't not go on. You have to try. And so you head towards the stairs too. The third clap of thunder comes as you reach the Keen Wolf's deck. It rocks you so violently that you are nearly thrown back down the stairs. But you catch yourself on the doorframe to secure your footing, waiting for the Keen Wolf to steady itself before continuing. Estrid is by your side in a flash, glowering around as she glances at the clouds bubbling and roiling in the sky. I'd hoped we might at least reach the shore before it attacked again. There really is nowhere we can hide. It's only a vision. Brace yourself. I'm frightened this time. Brace yourself? Brace yourself! I have a feeling we will not enjoy whatever comes next. Estrid nods but swallows nervously as she pushes out past you onto the deck. Everyone is streaming out into the night, looking at the wisps of the clouds that do not belong to the roaring thunder. The very light of the moon seems to ripple and bubble as the hole in your gut slowly tears itself wider. You got the bubble guts? Come on! You can hear the thunder in your ears before it echoes out into the world around you. Even as prepared for it as you have been, there is no escape from it. It tears through your mind and brings you straight to your knees. For just a moment, the world explodes into a dazzling display of thousands of millions of tiny colors. And then, there is only darkness. The rank stench of burning wood catches in your nose, and you open your eyes in a panic. Wasn't we just talking to Estrid? We still in it? The fire roars in your ears, and flames flash before your eyes, staggering you. At the last moment, you catch yourself, and that's when you hear the shouting cries from nearby. You look all around you. The clear night sky, smoke, soot, and ash bleeding up towards it from the flames. 1, 2, 3 buildings on fire, completely ablaze in the night. It could be any burning village, but you know in your heart of hearts that it isn't. Windhaven. This is Windhaven. You aren't sure who you were talking to. There is no one nearby. No sign of the Otterskull or Estrid or Orlvir. Your attention turns to the chorus of loud and encouraging cheers. That's where you have to go. It isn't long before you start to feel sweat beading on your skin. Does he not like to go on land because he'd be wilding out on land? Like, is that what it is? It must be high summer, and if it weren't already hot enough, there are the flames to contend with too. They don't spread much further than the buildings where they started, but they're strong and intense. They fill the air not just with smoke and ash, but a rippling haze that makes it even harder to see. But as the cries become louder, you know you're in the right place. The path between the buildings open up into a square where the large group of people are gathered. Between you and them, you see Orlvir pacing back and forth and tapping the hilt of his axe with his fingers. And just a few yards closer to you, a man is being dragged towards him with his hands tied. What is he, like a rubber duck mage or something? Like, you got like a rubber duck. What is this necklace on you? Or is that a goose? Bro, who are you affiliated with? When he's thrown down in front of Orlvir, he lies very still for a long moment. You continue onwards, giving Orlvir a wide berth as you walk to such an angle that you can see who the man is. Very slowly, he pushes himself up onto his arms. You catch sight of the orange robes in the firelight, and for a moment your mind seems to stall. But you recognize the gleaming golden pendant hanging around his neck. This man is a blessed one of Travia. What's happening? Please, we are people of peace here. Please, just leave us be. Your heart leaps into your throat as you realize that you know that voice. You've heard it before. You've been where that blessed one now lies. You were in his place the last time the fiend dragged you to this terrible place. Okay, so we were in his place. So he killed this. He killed the blessed one. Don't we need a blessed one to learn how to defeat the whatchamacallit? Is that why O's tripping? Because he don't want to have to, like, he's like, oh, I killed the people. That's why we can't find no help. Wow, O, you could have just said that. Last time the fiend dragged you to this terrible place. What is this, Orlvir? Who are you, stranger? Say nothing? I'm not gonna say nothing. You start to speak, but the moment your lips part, you feel how dry your throat is, how parched you feel. And you do not know at all whether you can affect anything in this place. It is a vision, not a dream. Is there a difference? Can you test what might happen if you can? Your thoughts are re-centered as you see Orlvir quicken his pace, looking at the crowd behind him. You catch his eye in the flame, and you see the same half-formed plan of malcontent you saw in the last attack. When he turns back to the Blessed One, you see him raise his bound hands, as if to confirm he means no harm. Please, take anything you would like, just leave us in peace. Quiet. The Blessed One jumps out of his skin at Orlvir's bark, quickly looking away at the floor. Orlvir otherwise ignores the interpretation, just pacing back and forth, back and forth. The more you see him move, the more animalistic it seems to become. Back and forth, like a wolf, waiting for exactly the right moment to strike. I mean, there's no point in telling him he doesn't have to do this. He's already done this. Again, you cannot bring yourself to interject. And what would it matter? Changing the outcome of this vision alone would bring you nothing more but confusion. Some part of you, a twisted part, maybe needs to know what happened here this night. For the first time, your ears tune to the cries and shouts of the crowd. Come on, Orlvir. Show them. Send a message, Orlvir. Make them scared. Come on. They are already scared. Like, killing them is just gonna make them dead. It's not gonna make them scared. As all of that dawns on you, Orlvir gives you a long, steady stare. It's stunning, really. Emotions running high, caught up in a single moment. Expectations set higher and higher after every victory. How do you keep up the legend? How do you ensure that you are always feared by your enemies and revered by your friends? You shake your head, clear, and turn back the situation at hand. The Blessed One has raised his hands to talk again, carefully choosing when and how to look at Orlvir in the eye. Your people worship Travia too, do they not? Then you must know that if you do this, you are only dooming yourself. The gods do not look upon those who turn away from their paths. A calmness has come across the man amidst all the violence and the chaos. You can hear the wobble of fear in his voice, but it is as though he has simply chosen to fight through it. To say what needs to be said and what you need to hear. If you do this, you will never know peace of mind again. All joy and happiness will be stripped from what you loved. Oh, this bro, I knew he'd a cursed one. I knew he'd a cursed one. those you look to for respect will now only bring you dissatisfaction. There will be nowhere in the world you can go without feeling discontent. Do you really believe you can live like that? Orlvir is looking at the ground, his free hand clenched tightly while the fingers of the other tap, tap, tap away at his axe. This is how it starts. You felt to the pressure. Listen to him, Orlvir. The whole listen to him, Orlvir thing, just like, I don't know. I don't like that. This is how it starts. You fell to the pressure. I feel like saying you fell to the pressure is another assumption. Like, we're seeing visions from the demon. Like, I trust nothing. I'm gonna assume this is how it starts. That's to me, that's safe. This is how it starts. It all swirls around in your head, one thing after another, until it is a mixed and complete recipe. The words of the Blessed One, the words of the crowd, Orlvir's behavior all these weeks. The Fiend finds you because you ignore the Blessed One. Because Travia abandons you and leaves a hole behind, a hole the Fiend can sense. It finds those whose peace of mind is disturbed. Underneath all the noisy chaos, you are certain to hear the deep, soulless chuckle that crawls up your spine. Orlvir is pacing once again, his eyes now on the crowd, then on the Blessed One, and then back on the crowd. The corner of his lips twitch and twist into a snarl in the firelight, and he looks at the Blessed One once again. Blessed One again. Orlvir! Orlvir! You hear Gunnar's cracked voice pushing through the crowd, and then see him break through to the front. No, Orlvir, not like this. Orlvir barely glances at him, his eyes flickering to the rest of the group still chanting away behind his friend. He grits his teeth and taps his finger on the axe again, pacing. But when he is next in front of the Blessed One, he stops and looks at the man one more time. The sky is thick with smoke and ash, but somewhere above you, you are certain you hear thunder. They will fear me. Your attention snaps back to Orlvir as he starts stalking towards the Blessed One menacingly. They will. Let it happen. Let's do Blinding Flash. No, you cannot just stand back and watch. With as much speed as you can muster, you cast Blinding Flash formula with complete focus on Orlvir. He staggers backwards just before he reaches the Blessed One, and you prepare yourself for a second spell. Go, run, I'll hold him off. Now you are certain you hear it, an otherworldly chuckle that seeps into you from all around, but also ripples out of the depths of your mind. No, Nadim, you turn away. You can't help it. His voice draws you to look at him, standing just a few feet away in the front of the crowd, Zahir. Except for those golden eyes and that cruel, cruel smile. You wanted to know how it is I found you, now you must look upon it. There is no escape. Too late do you realize what has happened, and you shake your head clear of the vision. But now your attention flicks back to Orlvir just in time to see him lunging at the Blessed One with a cry. It is gruesome to watch. It is not quick. It is certainly not painless. It is cruel, violent, and bloody. And for his part, the Blessed One doesn't beg. He knows the end is coming, and he has said everything he needs to say. He knows he could not make Orlvir listen. I hope I didn't use that magic and hurt somebody, like, in the real world. That is the only issue. Why didn't I just be, like, gonna use a magic? Damn. And if you are simply harrowed into a stunned silence. What shocks you most is not the violence or even the cruelty. It's not even Orlvir himself. It is the reaction of the crowd that truly terrifies you. They cheer for him, cheer him on. Was it all in Orlvir's head, or were they actually as bad as he was? Worse even. It makes you angry, not just at Orlvir, but at them for driving him to a point where he felt like he needed to impress them. What do? How far are you willing to go? To make sure you are feared by your enemies and revered by your friends. Your eyes flicker open. Far above you, you hear the last echoes of the last roll of thunder dissipate into the void. Beneath your nose, you smell the richness of wood soaked in seawater. This time is not like the others. Your mind works out a moment before your consciousness catches up. It is like awakening from a dream, more than being ripped out of one reality and put inside another. You take a deep breath in and slowly push yourself off the deck of the King Wolf. Your head is still spinning, and as you stand, you fall forwards and onto your knees, nursing your head. Around you, everyone is groaning and grumbling, picking themselves up and clutching the guardrail sickly. Everyone. Not just you. Not just Estrid. Not just Swafnote, Maitnir, and Darksong. Every single person. They have all turned pale as if they just witnessed a brand new horror, completely unknown to them before. They are all wide-eyed and breathing deeply, all looking about as if expecting the threat to come again. They've all seen it. You know, in a single moment that the crack opened that night in Orlvir's hall has splintered and widened again. Just as it did on the way to Alkenfelsen when Swafnil, Maitner, and Darksong remarked. The tensions aboard the Keenwolf, the nervousness and the uncertainty have let the fiend even further in. There is no escaping it. We delayed too long. Is everyone alright? We should sail tonight. We delayed too long. Out here playing on this water. Out here playing with Orlvir, playing on this water. Took too damn long. Now we all got problems. Your voice comes out as a broken croak, as if your throat is scarred by flame and smoke. You cough, close your eyes, and rub at your neck for a moment to find that it is sore. And you are feeling a little drained too, as if exerting yourself in the vision had left its mark in reality. Then you shake your head and try to get back to it. We've delayed far too long. The longer we wait, the more of a chance this creature has to infect all of us. As far as I see it, George coughs lightly and harshly and then spits over the side of the ship before he tries again. As far as I see it, that is only down to one person. He looks around to the gathering of the Otchesco across the deck until his eyes fall on Gunnar. Gunnar is collapsed against the bulkhead that makes up the doorway down below deck. His head is leant on his hand, leant on his knee, and he looks as though he knows exactly what is coming. How could you just let him get away with that? A dire, Gunnar, a dire. What more do you expect I could have done, George? By the time I got there, there would have been no stopping him. The tone of Gunnar's question stings you, no matter how much you might agree with George. It is defeated, lost, and lonely, broken. I did everything I could. I always have. Before anyone can argue, a door creaks and everyone turns towards Orlvir's quarters. All eyes fall on him. He's literally just a weak leader. He's a weak leader. Like, even if the people were egging him on, like, you are the leader. Like, you make the decisions. Tie him up to a tree and say, let's bounce, and bounce. Like, I don't care if everyone else is like, no, you're gonna kill this dude, you gotta do it. And then, like, clearly it's wide known that that's not a thing that you do. So I'm not so sure how much I believe that, like, he was forced into this because peer pressure. You're a grown-ass man. You're a grown-ass man. Imagine being peer pressured in a murder. My God. All eyes fall on him as he walks slowly out onto the deck. It reminds you every bit of the night you first saw him striding into Orlvir's hall. Except this time, he greets every single one of the stairs, looking back at each person in turn. He stops a few feet from George between him and Gunnar. Say what you have to say to me. Not to him. Why, bro? Why? Because it couldn't have been peer pressure. It had to have been something else. Why, Orlvir? You find yourself having to suppress a shake as you ask your question. You aren't even sure what you want to know the answer. Because I wanted the recognition, Outlander. I needed it. I mean, he had that already, though. Like, now you just known as, like the worst. Don't nobody even like you. I don't know. That seemed a little weak. You're a little weak, bro. That's weak sauce. I wanted the recognition, so I decided to kill a dire. I went to the church and killed a dude that had nothing to do with what was going on. Like, that's, like, why would anybody even be impressed by that? Why would anybody even be impressed by that? You're known for being wild. Are you out of your mind? Now all eyes turn to Estrid, who steps angrily through the crowd to stand next to George. Is that really all you have to say? You beat and tortured a dire to death. You should have been brought before a Jarl and sentenced to be peaceless. Estrid spits out an angry chuckle and shakes her head, unable to stand looking at Orlvir anymore. I am not even sure why I'm surprised anymore. Silence falls on the Keenwolf again, stunned, broken, and horrified. It's the other faces of those you're closest to that stand out. Swafna looks hurt, torn, and a little confused. Darksong looks at Orlvir with the same mixture of sadness and puzzlement that she has always had for him. Maitner looks to the least surprised of them, glancing up at Orlvir and Gunnar as if he suspected this might happen. But it is Gunnar who eventually breaks the silence from the floor of the deck, shrugging meekly. What is this, if not exile? He weakly indicates the ship and slowly picks himself up so that he can be heard by all. They were not just words the dire spoke that night. Travia heard them, and she acted upon them. Every time we returned to Thorwald, people were a little more wary and a little more worried. Some in the Otchesco had change of heart, left on their own accord, and never spoke of it. Enjoyed any joy that anyone felt above about it was ripped away in a matter of weeks. And eventually we couldn't face it anymore. So we captured the Keen Wolf, and I dismissed anyone who remained who were with us in Windhaven, to avoid the same mistakes, to free Orlvir from his burden. And we tried to start again. That is not the same. George takes less than a breath to cut in on Gunnar's explanation, stepping a few steps forward. Orlvir is in front of him in a flash, towering over the raider to warn him off approaching Gunnar. You should know it is not the same. Perhaps you should try being abandoned by the gods. Then tell me what real exile is. Oh my god. Like, it's one of those things where, like, clearly you knew the consequences of your actions, but still made a choice, and now you're disappointed with the consequences of your actions. This is why I cannot feel for Orlvir. I just cannot. Like, ain't a person on this earth that don't know murder bad. Murder bad. You know, just unarmed, innocent people that you murder, you know, just, I don't know, triple the badness, I guess? That's bad. And then, like, he has to, like, did he not know? Did he not know that killing an unarmed, innocent dyer would be bad? And would probably not go over well with, like, as time went on. Like, you can't tell me he didn't know that it's in some capacity before he killed that man. Tell me what real exile is. The difference is, you doomed us to Orlvir. Swafnell stepped into the conversation, takes everyone by surprise, and all eyes now turn to her instead. All of these years, we all sailed with you with the great tales from our childhoods in mind. Do you think any of us would have done so if we had known the truth? What must Travia think of us? She stops and thinks for a moment, and then winces and curses. That is why the demon's tooth failed. Not one of us has Travia's blessing to use it. Oh. Even us, the fiend, knew. And we were easy targets. Okay. Okay. Let me think about these answers. Even us. I mean, Swafnell, I guess, is guilty by association. Like, associating with this man, like, guilty. And I guess the dim is saying, like, even us, like, we didn't know, and we are only aboard this ship because, like, he literally just walked into the hall, and now we're cursed as well. Let's see, the fiend knew we were easy targets. We were easy targets, and it all made us easier to target. The fiend is an enemy of Travia. Without her blessing, we had no hope at all. It can sense the mark of its enemy. Now Maitner speaks up too, nodding his head as he thinks out loud, and then also the lack of that mark. And so when Orlvir stepped too close to it in Alsusfell, George rounds him on him with an accusatory finger. I have a question for you too, Maitner, because you were here before most of us, even before the likes of Swafnell and Torkel, I think. Did you know of this? I did not know the details until tonight. I certainly was not there. There is an honesty to Maitner's voice that makes you glad, but I was beginning to suspect in the last attack. There were only a few things that would explain Orlvir's unwillingness to seek help from the Dyer of Travia, particularly when dealing with a servant of her greatest enemy. Now that dawns on you too, and you find yourself staring at the dark blue starry sky and a tired roll of your eyes. And why you were left unmarked, Gunnar, until tonight. Do you really feel no shame at all in being part of it? I have always tried to stop Orlvir for giving in to his worst instincts, ever since we were boys. It was never in doubt that what happened in Windhaven was utterly down to Orlvir's choices. He knows that too. A flick of your eyes across Orlvir's reveals the same sullen, steady stare that reveals nothing about Orlvir's thought on the matter. I have spent every winter since then trying to help him move past it. That is all I can do. Bro, that bro love go deep, cause couldn't be me. Couldn't be me. You got here killing for no reason, bro. I got to go. I'm praying for you. Pray to Travia, whoever. I pray for you though. Thoughts and prayers, but I'm not gonna be on this boat for the rest of my life tripping with you. Cause he boat gunner. I feel bad for him. He's like, bro, we've been in the trenches since we were boys. I'm just trying to help. You can't save everybody. Estrid looks far from satisfied about the answer, but says nothing more, words failing her. Oh, Torkel. Okay, so we finally meet, like, this other person that apparently has been here the longest. So, what do we do about it? The question invites another awkward silence forwards. Many of the crew shift uncomfortably, and Gunnar looks from person to person expectantly. Orlvir stands like a statue, simply waiting. I think the choice is clear. George steps forward with much confidence and determination as you have ever seen from him. Forget about being Hetman. This man is no longer worthy of being one of us. I put forward a vote to exile Orlvir Eriksson from the Otchisko. Now hold on, George. As Gunnar goes to step forward, Orlvir catches him by the shoulder and steps forward himself. He walks all the way up to George so that they are inches apart. Once again, George remains unflinching, staring slightly up at Orlvir, straight into the whites of his eyes. I draw the line at being exiled off my own ship that he stole. He stole this. He stole this boat. This ain't his. He stole this. If it weren't for this damned fiend, Windhaven would be in the past, not but a distant memory. Perhaps I wasn't your perfect hetman, George, but I don't deserve this. It doesn't seem like Estrid can stop herself from letting out a frustrated, surprised laugh. Don't deserve this? Do you not remember that we just saw you kill a dyer? Do you not understand that if it were not for that, none of us would be here to begin with? Orlvir, all of this is your fault. And you have taken no accountability for any of it. She takes a moment looking at the deck before looking back at him. That is not failing. That is not a failing of a hetman or even a Thorwald. That is failing of common decency. Regardless of what you think you deserve, we do not deserve you. Orlvir says nothing, but looks around at the 30-odd people who are now silently judging him. He takes a step back, and in the dim light you see a flicker of recognition as he looks from face to face. Just a flicker, for just a moment before the light is concealed by a cloud, and it is gone. May I say something? Oh, fuck, Darksong. Sometimes, we gonna see what she have to say. We're gonna see what she have to say. We're gonna see what you have to say, because mutiny! 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 Darksong's voice is the most calm and collected voice you've heard all evening. She steps away from the mast near Orlvir and George and looks around at all of you in turn. I know I'm not the most popular person here. Please stop self-depreciating. But I do know Orlvir's mind. I've told you this already, Estrid. Were his actions right? Undoubtedly not. But we all have seen what drove him to them now. Consider that. Consider what we are compelled to do by those who have power over us, whether we know it or not. Desperation may make all of us do terrible things, but that does not mean we are beyond redemption. And if you exile Orlvir now, you will only rob him of his chance. A quiet follows Darksong's speech, but you see heads turn as people consider what she says. George, though, continues to stare with full force at Orlvir, and now he nods, taking the decision himself. All those in favor of exiling Orlvir to put guardrail, those against to starboard, those who do not care to vote to the mast. A lot of people, including you, move simply to show that they are still making up their minds. George storms to the port side, where Estrid and Swafnil quickly join him. Maintner, Darksong, Gunnar, and Orlvir all move to the starboard side, along with a handful of others. It doesn't take you long to realize that yours will be one of the deciding votes. In fact, not one person abstains, and you are left standing alone between the two groups of very similarly sized people. In that same moment, a series of questions crosses your mind. More pressingly of all, how do you actually feel? Okay. Should he be the hetman of this ship? No. Not at all. He should not be the hetman of this ship. Like, he should have gave that up a long time ago. Because clearly, you have no idea how to lead, and his only, like, factor in leading is just cave in to people yelling at you, and you're a great leader. Even if they're telling you to murder innocent people. Like, that's the route he went. He should not be the hetman of the ship. Like, outside of that, I don't want to leave him at a random port. Like, he still has a responsibility to dealing with this fucking fiend. He doesn't get an out. In my mind, that is an easy out. It's horrible for him. He doesn't want to be on land. He's probably just going to go on a rampage and kill a bunch of people. And that would be on us. I do not want to leave him at a port. He is a problem for us. He is our problem. He's a problem that we have to deal with, and just dumping him on someone else does not solve the problem. So, do I think exiling him helps? No. I do not think it helps. I don't think it helps us fight the Fiend. Clearly, it was explicitly stated that we all had to be in the shits together. So I'm gonna vote not to exile Orlvir. You go with your gut, slowly stepping over to the ship's starboard side. The first reaction, you happen to glance as Gunners. It's awash with relief, surprise even. Next to him, you think Orlvir may even look a little surprised, looking over at all the people who voted against him. It's that recognition again, a spark of realization that something must change. You hope. Very well. Of course, it is George who stepped forward to take command of the situation again. You note that it wouldn't come as a surprise to see him put his own name forward for the position of head person. He doesn't look happy at the result, but he gives a respectful nod. We respect the majority, as always. Orlvir remains. Though he should know, we will be watching carefully. Another silence follows. George breaks it by starting his way back below deck, and over the course of the next few moments, many follow. Orlvir remains, watching them pass as they go. Very few people return his gaze, and you think he picks up on that. It makes you begin to wonder, maybe there is hope for him. Just a small amount, right at the bitter end. The Fiend has already exhibited such great power over you all, you can't help but wonder whether you missed a trick. For all of its individual torments, now it has managed something on a completely different level. The pot that has been simmering above the King Wolf for so many weeks now is now threatening to boil over. Right at the lip, when you needed it not to. Perhaps that is the Fiend's greatest weapon of all, the power to make you all tear yourselves apart. Yeah, didn't they say that at the beginning? That you're gonna be paranoid, and, you know, most of it was literally just your own paranoia that drives you mad and crazy, and you do crazy stuff based off of it. The power to make you feel you tear each other apart. What else need it really do? Swafnil or Estrid? Let's talk to Swafnil. With tension at its highest aboard the Keen Wolf, it is only a matter of time before something erupts. Start. Chapter. Intervention. You stumble and then fall back onto the deck, your chest stinging at the force of the strike. Estrid immediately drops her finger stance to help you up, though none of the tension leaves her face. Sorry. It has been like this all morning. Everyone is tense. Not only have you all now had at least one taste of the Fiend's tricks and visions, but there is also an aftermath to contend with. The only person to have seen Orlvir since the votes against him is Darksong. To your knowledge, not even Gunnar has been into his quarters. You have barely slept. There is not a lot to do on the Keen Wolf, as the Queen Wolf sails ever closer to the Gulf of Prim's northern shore. All any of you can do is wait and stew in the knowledge that, so far, the Fiend has continuously bested you. That's why you agreed when Swafnil suggested an impromptu sparring session. You hoped it would distract you from the tension of it all. At least your mind hasn't been stuck in thought since you started sparring Estrid. But it has done little to assuage the nervous knot of tension in your stomach. This isn't working. I let you have that one. I should be doing better. I should be doing better than this by now. You hear the frustration in your own voice as you reset your fighting stance. Estrid, though, gives a small shrug as she does the same. You aren't doing badly, Outlander. That strike was just harder than it should have been. With that, the two of you launch into another round of sparring, grappling, and striking each other again. In truth, you've come a long way since you've having to run from the peaceless warriors chasing you towards Alice's foe. You're starting to feel like you can hold your own in a fight. Your reactions are quicker, your strikes are less flailing, and you feel like you have to depend less on magic. All in all, your time in Swafnil's practice sessions have done you some good. A few more close exchanges pass before you separate from each other again to recoup. Both of you are breathing hard, watching the other carefully for their next move. Without a word, almost in the same movement, you move on each other again. This time, it is your turn to strike a little harder than you mean to. You catch Estrid in the face, knocking her backwards as she shakes her head wildly. Sorry. It's alright. Estrid rubs her cheek and goes to check that she isn't bleeding, breaking her defensive stance again. Now we're even. You're about to lift your arms to protect your head and chest when a loud cry rings out directly behind you. A moment later, someone crashes into your back, almost knocking you off your feet. You turn to see Aki stumbling over himself as he turns to you, too, his hands held up awkwardly. Sorry. He is sparring Torkel, who seems to have shoved him out of their own fight and into yours. He glares at Aki as he pumps his forearms and holds them up like a boxer. Come on, fight me. Fight me! Stop trying to fight me and fight me! I think we just need to take a moment. Torkel swings a wild punch in Aki's direction, and Aki leaps backwards again. You and Estrid both leap out of the way as they take the spot you were fighting in. Torkel doesn't relent, and this time catches Aki, knocking him over with a simple trip. Aki holds up his arms to stop Torkel's strike from hitting his face, but groans as he is hit in the chest instead. Intervene, Torkel. You take one step forward towards the fight to try and catch Torkel's attention, shouting his name over Aki's cry. Torkel ignores you, slamming another fist down that Aki barely stops with very weak defense. Blow after blow, he rains down, shouting into Aki's face. There is nothing intelligible there anymore, just fury. Frustration. You take a quick glance over to Estrid to see whether she has any better idea of how to handle the situation. She quickly closes rank with you to talk quietly while you watch the scuffle. This could turn nasty. I don't know if we should call Swafnil. This can turn nasty. This seems as though it could turn nasty. Only a Swafskari falls upon one of them. We might need to take a few steps back. Aki tries his best to keep up defense, but Torkel's attacks are coming in thick and fast. Let's just call her over to help. Starting to worry for Aki's life, you look over your shoulder and spot Swafnil with her back to you. Swafnil. She immediately looks over her shoulder and then glances around you to see the scuffle. You don't wait for her to arrive before you move in towards the fight, trying to shove Torkel away. You get a good grip on Torkel's shoulders and stop him swinging a fist as you pull him away. But then he struggles. As you pull him backwards, he lashes out with an elbow behind him, trying to catch you in the stomach. You grit your teeth and bear the brunt of the hit, not letting Torkel go. He squirms around and crashes into you, knocking you both to the floor. No sooner has Torkel stumbled down to the top of you does Swafnil arrive, grabbing him by the scuff of the neck. She lifts him up bodily off the Keenwolf's deck and carries him away from the fight, as he lashes out at her. Let me go! Let me go! Next to you, Aki slowly pushes himself up, looking at you gratefully. Thank you, Outlander. Don't thank me yet. Don't thank me yet. You roll onto your front and push yourself back to your feet. Not far away, Torkel is still complaining, even as Swafnil throws him down into the deck with a loud thump. Still, Torkel tries to strike out at her. Enough! Enough! Crack! A wild strike catches Swafnil in the mouth as she groans before forming her own fist. Oh no. There is a genuine concern in Aki's voice coming from next to you. Swafnil's strike is much harder than any of Torkel's, knocking his head into the deck for good measure. Without stopping, she grabs Torkel by the scruff of the neck, picking him up an inch just so she can punch him again. Outlander, Heltling, help me! Without waiting to see whether you'll comply, Aki rushes in to break up the fight, leaving you to follow. You turn to Estrid in a rush as you decide how to handle the situation. I will deal with Torkel, I guess. I'll deal with Torkel, you help Aki. Estrid gives you a tired, dismayed look before running after you towards the fight. You stop short, waiting for Aki and Estrid to tackle Swafnil off Torkel before jumping in yourself. As soon as they have moved, you see Torkel writhing as he tries to pick himself up. You aren't gentle, grabbing him by the shoulders and pulling him away from the squabble as firmly as you can. He roars and lashes out at you with an angry swipe. Your face stings as you are smacked in the jaw. But you do at least manage to draw Torkel's attention to you and away from the others. I'm gonna use some magic on myself. As with every other training session on the Keenwolf, a collection of shields were brought up to use later. After avoiding another knock from Torkel, you magically call one over to you. Distracted, you don't bring enough power to the spell for it to move through the air quickly. Annoyed, you find yourself ducking and diving out of Torkel's way as you try to meet the shield halfway instead. One hit catches you in the back as you turn around to grab it out of the air. Damn. You nearly miss the shield as pain flares up your spine and you stumble. But you just manage to catch it by the rim in both hands, quickly turning back to face your opponent. His eyes are wild, and you know in an instant that he is completely unaware of your plan. Gritting your teeth, you clout him in the head with the shield's face, sending him promptly crashing to the floor. You know when he doesn't get straight back up that the fight is over. When you double check, you see that Torkel's eyes have flitted shut. He isn't dead, but he is certainly unconscious. Before you look back to the rest of the fight, you spare a moment for the rest of the crew. They are giving you all a wide berth, most of them staring with a mixture of doubt and fear at Swafnil. We need more help. Someone find Gunner. We need more help. All of them are reluctant about stepping forward to help Swafnil back. Without time to spare to convince them, you wave a dismissive hand at their direction and look to the fight. The first thing you see is Estrid being battered away by the giant, hitting the ship's guardrail back first. You're surprised she isn't flung straight through it. It looks as though Aki had already been dispensed with, though he is now picking himself up off the floor. Before he can fully recover, Swafnil is bearing over him. You know, as soon as you see the pair, these people just see red. Like, they're just seeing red. Like, what are y'all fighting so hard for? As soon as you see the pair contrasted against each other, that he is going to need all the help he can get. But before you can leap into Aki's aid, you see him jump, or more accurately stumble, away from another strike. He holds out his hand towards Swafnil. Swafnir, great brother. He blurts out the words as quickly as he can, and still has to step back again as Swafnil lashes forwards. Protect your child from harm. Soothe the third time he is not so lucky. Whatever praying he was trying to use to calm Swafnil is cut short as she brings both fists down on his head. She does not look like she is going to relent. Whatever you're going to do, you must do it now. Damn, I don't want to use all my magic on this. Your mind races back to the raid. Another dire, desperate situation. The same formula you can cast is the only thing you think might bring Swafnil down. You bring forth all your focus, all of your power. Everything you have is poured into the spell. And the hurricane ball surges at your hand, almost howling as it twists and flies towards Swafnil. She never sees it coming. As it impacts, it explodes with the same deafening thump that catches everyone's attention. Swafnil's battering of Aki is well and truly cut short as she is sent flying through the air. She is thrown straight into the Keen Wolf's central mast with a sickening crack as her neck breaks against it. Oh shit. The same explosion lifts Aki off the ground and flings him about, limply spiraling through the air unconscious. There's another crack as he lands awkwardly and the spell dissipates as quickly as it erupted. A shocked, bewildered silence falls on the Keen Wolf. You stare at them both, waiting for either of them to move, or even groan, but both completely still, neither of them breathing. Did I kill both of them? Your heart ruptures as you cover your mouth with your hands. That wasn't what you meant for it. Every Thorwaller survived your spell during the raid, but not this time. You bring your What? How did I randomly kill two people with my magic? You bring your hands away from your mouth, staring at them as they visibly shake. You cannot quite believe it. You hear the sound of the movement behind you, and you turn towards the rest of the crew. A small crowd is gathered. Not just the raiders who were training with you, but the members of the Ajotsko too. Gunnar has made his way through the people and is now setting eyes on the situation. He looks at Aki's broken body and Swafnil laying beside him. In Swafnir's name, his voice is barely more than a murmur, and he quickly shares the same expression as everyone around him. What happened? I didn't want to kill them. You feel so incredibly raw already. I am disappointed in this turn of events. Since when does that kill people? Whatever. You feel so incredibly raw, struggling to remember the details of how everything happened. I just wanted to stop her killing Aki. There was likely no saving Aki, Outlander. Estrid is clutching the guardrail. Why? I don't understand why everyone was seeing red so crazy. Estrid is clutching the guardrail, having finally picked herself up off the floor. But if not for you, I might have died too. The moment the Swafskari fell on her. This was the only way. What the fuck is the Swafskari? Gunnar turns to the closest member of the crowd behind him. Find a cloth and wrap up their bodies. We are so close to land, we should honor them with a proper ceremony as we can. The raider quickly nods, grabs the attention of some nearby help, and walks towards the stairs. Gunnar immediately turns on the rest of the crowd. Try to get some rest. We make landfall in the morning. Bro, we're gonna move past this? Okay. Okay, whatever. Slowly but surely, entirely broken by what just occurred, the crowd begins to dissipate. Two of the raiders stay behind just a moment longer to lift and carry Torkel back to the commons. But then you are left to feel like your heart has been ripped out of your chest as you look at Swafnil and Aki. What happened? How did it happen? Was it the only way? You barely notice Gunnar walking up to you, keeping a respectful distance as he tries to catch your glance. It may be hard, Outlander, but you should try not to blame yourself. The Rune has decided their fate, and they will both find their way to the eternal fight now. That ain't no consolation. Gunnar grimaces and gently grasps your shoulder. There is no consolation prize, Outlander. All we can do now is honor them in death as we honored them in life. and continue on their memory. He gives you one last nod and gently smile before he follows the crowd anyway. You are left alone with their bodies until the Ochako returns to wrap them up. You stand watch while they work. They use spare material that was meant to be for the sails. They are gentle and respectful and barely speak. It takes less than an hour, at which point they pick up the bodies and slowly carry them away. Then you are truly alone. Am I supposed to feel sad? I'm more annoyed that I used so much of my magic. And it didn't give me the outcome that I wanted. It feels like the second major victory for the Fiend in as many days. It does not need to run from you when it can tear the Ochako apart before it even arrives. Okay, landfall. At least my magic and my health is back up, because that was annoying me. I don't have many choices. Oh, the boat down here. Landfall. After weeks at sea, the crew and the Keenwolf arrive back on the Thorwall coast just north of Isles and Gunnar puts you to work setting up camp. Landfall. With a gentle thud and a slight shake, the Skuta finally crunches into something other than water. Oh, I'm already, almost at an hour. You glance up at the sky and greeted by a wall of gray where the sky used to be. There is definitely another storm of one kind or another coming. Still, no one around you seems in the particular rush to leap off the Skuta and start setting up the camp. Everything is far calmer, if only by pretense, than that. This is home territory. There's no need for scouting or patrols. The only dangers are the sea and the Fiend. The first, the Thorwallers know well. The second, you all accept you could do little to stop. One by one, you trudge out onto the beach. The moment you step foot into the sand, it starts to give away under your weight. Outlander, Hetling, help us out. Here. The raider, still with an oar in her hand, beckons you both to help push the boat back into the water. With that done, she and her rowing partner sit down facing you and start rowing back towards the distant Keenwolf. Slightly further behind them, the second Skuta is coming in your direction with a small set of camping supplies from the cargo hold. It's going to be a long afternoon for the rowers, going back and forth to ensure that the Ochako is prepared to camp. Will we beat the storm? Will we have help? I'm glad to be off the damn ship. I'm very glad to be off that ship, if only for a little while. It could have not come soon enough. Esther chuckles beside you, her eyes locked into the cog as she folds her arms. That may well be it now, Outlander. Alcesfell is only a few miles down the coast. We could walk back home when this is all over. If we survive it. She takes a moment, looking back. Okay, so what was making them fight so crazy was like just some shit from the Fiend, like they were all just, I guess that's what that was. I don't know. I'm still confused. She takes a moment at the second Skuta fighting its way to the shore and 4 people who came with you to the beach. The idea was that on each trip a group of people would take a set of the camping supplies and start setting up. Estrid, though, looks at you and tilts her head towards the dunes that separate the beach from the countryside. Come with me for a moment. With that, she is off, walking as quickly as she can through the sand to get to the dunes. You help each other climb up the steep, craggy slopes. Only when you're at the top do you realize why you have been dragged up here. Those mountains, those woodlands, those gently rolling hills. You cannot be more than an hour away from where the Peaceless attacked you. And this whole thing began. Of course, the environment has changed. It's colder and the snow looks as though it's starting to fall some days ago. And with those black clouds hanging over your head, you are now certain the more is on the way. But none of it takes away from the staggering realization that you have come full circle now. This is it. It seems like an age ago. What if we just this is it? This it. I feel like we have not. I feel like I'm gonna lose. Can you lose at visual novels? I'm about to lose this. Of course it is. You both stand and look over the world. It has been swept over by snow. A gentle tug in the back of your mind draws your eyes to the distant peaks of the Haldjar Mountains. As soon as you rest your eyes there, you feel the hole that has taken up refuge in your stomach for so long start to move. Part of you wants to run back to the boat, back to the Keenwolf, as far as west goes, and the rest of you knows that you can't do any of that. Not if you ever wanted to be rid of that feeling. You know it gets even better, Outlander. A direct path to where we're being drawn will lead us straight past Hajalvik. It can't help but snort out a laugh. Could it be connected? A coincidence? Perhaps it was fate. Could it be connected? Is there any possibility that the two could be connected? Esther stays very quiet and still at that for a long moment before she swallows something down and looks at the floor. I daren't guess. Hey, look at this guy. Hey. Behind you, a voice rings out, and you both turn to look down the edge of the dunes. Are you coming to help us or not? The Scoota's here. A quick glance confirms this is true, and the person who came to collect you doesn't wait around for you to join them. Together, you and Esther carefully lower yourself back onto the beach. It is just a short walk to where the water sloshes up in small waves onto the sand. For the first time, you take a proper look at into the second Scoota to get an idea of the camping supplies. I'm tired. I need to go to bed. Thick cotton-like material blankets and wooden stick supports make up the tents. There are bedrolls, too, though not enough for everyone. But the Scoota contains none of these things. They will come later. The first delivery to the beach is a collection of wooden stakes almost as long as the boat itself. They've been shoved and worked down to be pointed at the top of the rounded off at the bottom. With them come lengths and lengths of thick, stringy rope. They're tents. You have seen it all down the Keen Wolf's cargo hold, but it never clicked until now what it was for. Is this the palisade of sorts? It is more of a fence than a palisade. Isn't the palisade just a wall? Up and down the Thorwallian coast, you'll find Ottoskins, small permanent settlements specifically for Otchiskos. They use walls like these to help protect from the wilderness. It has been one of the great benefits of the Keen Wolf. We can take an Ottiskin to extended raids, and the walls help protect us against the enemy too. It takes 2 people to drag each long stake onto the beach. They're lined up tightly together on top of the 3 of the ropes, which are then tied around the stakes to secure them. It does get easier as more and more of the crew are ferried to the beach from the Keen Wolf, but it still takes hours, and the sky is much darker by the time you start lifting the walls up to make a ring. With the last of the wall's pieces, the Scoota also starts delivering what you need to put the tents up. They're packed very closely together inside the ring, and space inside each tent is limited. It'll be difficult to sleep comfortably, if of that you're sure, but you are still glad to be sleeping on solid ground again. The first spits of sleet start to fall as you are helping to tie the last wall piece together. This section of the wall is left as a separate part of the puzzle. It functions as a hidden door into the campsite, the Ottiskin. It is quite ingenious, really, you think, as the site stands completely before you. Considering the life that this Otchisko leads, you wouldn't have expected them to be capable of something quite so stable. Knowing what you must do, you find the stability a little comforting needed. As if before everything falls into chaos, you will have a moment of respite, just for a little while. The weather turns within the hour, and many of the raiders take shelter under the tents now that they're up. A storm on solid ground feels manageable now, after the chaos of the Alkenfelsen and the return journey. You are, without a doubt, the coldest you have ever been, but Maitner lends you his cloak to use for extra warmth. The last ferry to the beach is the one that draws the most attention. This is the Scoota that has Orlvir and Gunnar aboard. Darksong has traveled with them, having spent most of the last day with Orlvir. And the tightly wrapped bodies of Aki and Swafnil are both aboard as well. The only order of the day is to have their burial ceremony on the beach. Those still there to see them all arrive and stop and stare. After the votes, those who wanted Orlvir exile spoke quietly about whether or not he would leave anyway. Few expected him to stay, thinking or hoping he would choose to leave by his own accord out of spite or fear. For them, then, this was the moment of truth. You can't see his expression through the storm, but you can see the steely-eyed look that attempts to give nothing away. You can imagine the snort and growl as he staggers forward onto the snow-soaked beach. He defies all of those people making for the Ottskin as quickly as he can in the conditions. You even catch glimpses of him making eye contact with some of those raiders staring him down. You doubt its actual tangible change, more likely stubbornness for now. But you have to start somewhere. Outlander. Estrid makes her way over to you, trudging across the beach as it becomes more difficult to walk on. We must prepare for the funeral. I know Swafnil will want you to be there to help send her to Swafnir's side. Estrid motions up at the clouds as she speaks. This may not seem like the weather for it, but many will consider it the perfect time. With that, nothing else, she is away, trudging back towards the shore where the final Scoota still waits. You start to follow her, but only take a few steps before you are brought to a halt again. Darksong is walking straight towards you with her pack clutched tightly underneath her shoulder. I'll be on my way now. I put it off as long as I could, but there's something here that I need to do. Otherwise, I don't know if I will get the chance again. What about the Fiend? Where are you going? Just like that? Just like that? Wow. I don't know. It's giving... We were, like, some people might have been right not to trust Darksong. Like, I mean, you know, she did what she could for us, I guess. But she an elf. You know, she just about that elf life. She not really about that human people life, you know, so... Can I fault her for it? What? Just like that? She looks over your shoulder in the direction of that Orlvir just walked off in to find shelter. It isn't that I don't wish to stay, but now that we're here, there's something here that can help me go home. If I don't try, I don't know if I will get another chance, and I am no use in a fight against the Fiend. It's too much as I am now. I have to go. I just wanted to say farewell, and good luck in the fight to come. Farewell, I suppose. Bye! Farewell, I suppose. Bye. Farewell, I suppose. She senses your shock and surprise and looks away shamefully again. I'm sorry. Take it as a measure of elven wisdom. With time, you become to realize when it's better to walk away from a fight. Before you can argue, she seems to realize that this is not enough in an explanation and raises her hands. If I go face to face with the Fiend and it asserts yet more control over my mind, I don't know what might happen. There is every possibility that it might turn me against you without me even realizing it. That helps no one. I cannot fight the Fiend as I am now, and I cannot stay behind any longer. I have to do this. She looks at you for a long moment and then readjusts her grip on the pack and bows her head to you. Good luck. I really mean that. Without another word, she slips past you and trudges off towards the dunes. I'm a follower. I want to see where she's going. You know you should follow her. Not too far away, more people are starting to stream out of the Occasion and head for the shore. The funeral will probably be starting soon. But if you don't follow Darksong now, there is every possibility you won't get another chance. Oh, so I have to choose between the funeral and Darksong? Why are these choices getting so tough? I'm not gonna lie, that whole fight and them dying seems so random, so I'm gonna follow Darksong. Away with the fairies. Upon arrival on the shores of Thorwall, your elven companion is determined to leave the Occasion behind. Wanting her to stay and fight, you follow her. What is this one? Swan Song. In the wake of Swapson's outrage of the Keen Wolf, the crew must now lay their dead to rest. I don't care about this little... I don't care about this. I'm gonna just tell everybody I was too sad to go to the funeral. I'm an Outlander anyway. I'm just telling everybody I was too sad. That's what I'm saying. Away with the fairies. Oh fuck, I missed the first thing. Lighter on her feet, she is able to make her way across the storm-soaked sand quicker than you can. Through the storm, you can see her looking back towards the Occasion either. Her arms are folded to keep her cloak up around her, and her head is down against the snow. It is up to you whether or not you want to run after her and confront her directly or follow from a distance. Follow from a distance? I feel like if we run after her, she's just going to use some elf magic. You sped up, but only a little, just to make sure you're not to lose track of her in the flurry of snow. That gives her plenty of time to reach the dunes, up into the countryside proper. You clamber up the dunes as quickly as you can, conscious of all the while of Darksong's advantage. As soon as you reach the top, you squint through the snow and sleet to try and make out her silhouette. It's hard enough without the wind buffeting you about as well. But there, a few dozen paces ahead of you, fighting her way through the snow that still lay heavy on the Thorwallian landscape even before the storm hit. You could just see her outline, huddled up tightly still, due north as steadily as she can. You carefully trudge off after her. Not trying to race through the storm makes it far easier. You don't gain any distance. In fact, anything, you fall back a little. But it is easy to keep track of where Darksong is going. When you fall back too far, you can speed up just a little to reclaim ground. But she never once looks back to confirm she knows she is being followed. And so, you continue on. The storm finally relents after a couple more hours, what makes it far easier to see where you are going. You have already been going... Didn't we see this like in a dream or something? You've already been going for miles, and once again you find yourself striding over field and fen to reach uncertainty. All the while, Darksong has held to her path quite confidently. She seems to know precisely where she is going. Still northbound, straight towards the roots of the Haldra Mountains. When the storm has passed completely, you start to recognize exactly where you are. You walked across a road some time ago that you now recognize as the same one you were ambushed upon. The goal, you begin to think, must be that the forest that cushioned Haldvik from the mountains. Darkness seems to fall earlier, with the sky already filled with clouds still threatening to burst. The best indicator of how late in the day it is the temperature, which is constantly dropping. Soon you cannot wrap your cloak any tighter around you, and under your arms your hands are still numb. You miss the warmer winters of home. Night falls as you make your way through the woods. The way is not easy. The plant life is thick and untamed. The trees are old and grow tall over your head. The snow makes it difficult to go anywhere without making a sound. At the very least, when the clouds begin to clear, there is some light by which to see Darksong. You have to tread very carefully to keep yourself hidden. Even if you wanted to catch up to her now, it would be difficult to do so. Snow-covered roots are everywhere you tread, making it easy to trip and fall if you try to rush. Always you have one eye on Darksong's outline, and always you have one eye on the floor to make sure you don't misstep. You really followed me all this way? You jump out of your skin and nearly lose your footing as her voice comes from you off to your right. You turn to see her standing lithely on a fallen tree branch, looking at you with an element of surprise. A quick look back in the direction you had been traveling reveals whatever you were following to be gone. I'm worried. How did you... You just can't leave. You just can't leave like this. I would have, if you had not followed me. I didn't know I was going to be so missed. Very gracefully, she steps down off the branch and glances at you before turning to go on her way. You have a long day ahead of you. You should have stayed at the camp and rested. I suppose it's too late for that now. The Fiend can wait. The Fiend can wait, if really necessary. Ahead of you, you hear her chuckle and see the breath escape her nose in a light cloud. If only that were true. Come on. Darksong leads the way forwards quietly. She never once steps to check her direction. It is like she is being drawn forwards, even deeper into the woods. You must already be clambering over the real roots of the mountains. The way is far from level. Unless you are mistaken, you are heading slightly northwestwards now. Right into the heart of the forest. Where are we going? Speaking into that kind of quiet feels like it might bring some terrible curse down upon you. Indeed, for a long moment, Darksong does not respond, as if she is waiting to see whether your voice will call some powerful creature out of the darkness. When we came ashore, I felt a magical pull that I have not felt for a long time. There is a fairy glade in these woods. La Defari will dwell there. I hope they will be able to help me. Your mind alight with questions, you do not manage to keep silent for very long, now that it has been broken. Is it safe? Is it safe, whatever you're planning to do? There is another long moment before any reply comes, in which you can only sit in your own discomfort. It's safe. Have you ever heard of the term Boduk before? I don't think so. What does it mean? Not once does Darksong look back at you as you continue on your way together. I spent decades among humans now. I've cheated, I've lied, I've thieved. We see life and death as a balance to be kept, but I've killed so many people and saved none. I don't feel like an elf anymore. I was turned into a monster. I was robbed of what life was supposed to be. When I think about going home, her verse breaks and rattles on that last word. She still doesn't look back. As I am now, I have no place among my people. That is Boduk. I cannot go back as long as I remember everything I've done and everything I have been forced to do. And that is the only place I can stay safe. I need the Ladafriari to help me forget, and then I need to run. Then I might actually find some peace. Quiet falls on you with that. Okay, see, Darksong, wasn't you just on the boat talking about something? Oh, try to understand. I know what he's going through. Like, I don't know. I thought you had an in on some information and you don't. You just regular. Darksong just regular. Man, quiet falls on you with that. It feels wrong to speak straight away. Only once the relative's quiet is broken by a shuddering breath of release in front of you. You're desperate. That's a big risk. That sounds like a very big risk to take. She chokes back a laugh. I gave up on running a long time ago. This is the best opportunity I am ever likely to have. I will not apologize for taking it. I don't know whether you have ever come to despise every aspect of yourself. It was never what I asked for. I want my life back. Again, it feels wrong to say anything, until you see her move a hand underneath her hood to rub at the side of her neck. When It won't be any less real, I understand. What if it goes wrong? It won't be any less real. Forgetting it all will not make it any less real. It will be far less real to me. Her arms fall back to her side as now, finally, she glances back in your direction to snap at you. That's all that matters now. You continue on in silence after that. Darksong seems content with this. You, however, grow even more unsure. Many questions still flit across your mind. All of them seem more and more inappropriate with every passing moment. But there is no going back now, so you must simply carry on then in silence. That is until Darksong finally stops short in front of you. The brush ahead seems particularly thick here, and it is difficult to see past it. But as you squint, you see tiny lights dancing in the leaves that block your path. They flit around much like your own thoughts, appearing and disappearing in hues of green and blue and red. And a new sound plays on your ears, echoing strangely. Harmonious, even childish laughter. The lights dart off Darksong's glove as she lifts it to the leaves, only to appear again heartbeats later. We're here. Come on. As you push yourself through the thick brush and into the glade, you blink at the sudden change of light. Ooh, it's pretty. Suddenly, you can see clearly and more that the world you step into is beyond beautiful. Your eyes are drawn first to the face of white light that hangs suspended just off the woodland floor at the far end of the clearing. It shines brightly, illuminating the space and sending harsh shadows reeling off the surrounding trees and bushes. But it ripples too, like wind on water, calm and tranquil, as if something is passing through it, and at a constant speed. Each ripple sends motes of light soaring slowly through the air, like they are carried on the very same breeze. They shimmer as they float along towards the ground, revolving through every possible color as they go. And then they splash across the grass like water, breaking apart into minute bubbles that flash, burn, and die. And the flowers that bloom in the glade are unlike any you have ever seen before. They're brighter, richer, and wilder than the trees and bushes that surround you, full of strange color that shouldn't be. It is staggering, but your eyes are quickly taken by the sight of a person no larger than your hand leaping from the petal of such a plant. They flit upwards on the translucent wings to join their brethren in the air, laughing a joyful, youthful laugh. You can't help but smile as two more flash across your vision, diving around one of the motes of light like hawks. One of them spots you and stops itself, hovering in the air as their wings flit so quickly, you lose track of them. An elf. Oh, so this was little fairies just flying around being mischievous. And a human. They flit over to you slowly, their head tilting slightly as they look at you curiously. Welcome. Oh my god, why are you so tiny? You're so tiny. Thank you. Thank you. As you marvel at the sight of it, the fairy flutters down to eye level with Darksong. You are here with great purpose. My name is Darindel. What are your names? Every sentence they speak is excited and joyful, as if everything in the world is new. I am Nadim. This is... You stop glancing towards Darksong as you realize you don't know how you should complete your introduction. Her misery doesn't seem much lessened by the beauty of the place. She stares at Darindel, holding their gaze for as long as she can before she has to look at the floor. Darindel cocks their head again, flying ever closer to her face. I see. There is a distance change in the fairy's voice. All around you, the notes of light in the air turned an icy cold blue. You cannot speak your name because it does not belong to you. You cannot bear the sound of it. Disheartening presses on your chest as you see a tear spring from Darksong's eye. The light dims and the color turns to pale, dying gray. Darksong is my name. Darindel seems to ignore the response, flitting over and over closer towards her. They put a minuscule hand to one of the scars that crawls up Darksong's neck, and she flinches violently. The glade turns a brilliant, bright, burning red, and the heart beat before Darindel flits back up and away from the elf. I see. Darksong, you shouldn't do that. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? What's happening? It's alright. Even as she stutters again, Darksong turns to you, wrapping her hood around her neck. I need them to understand. I see. I do understand. The light slowly fades back to its multicolored, multifaceted brilliance, and you look towards Darksong again. Darindel. Terrible pain. Gone is any sense of joy from Darindel's voice. This is why you've come? You look across Darksong, watching... Like, I'm gonna be honest, this is super long-winded, and it's just like, if she's not gonna help us, like, do we really need to be here? That's where my mindset is. You look across the Darksong, watching, because it seems like we're not doing anything, we're just watching it happen. You look across Darksong, watching as she wraps her hood around her neck to hide her scars. She starts to say something, then stops, and simply looks at Darindel flittering in front of her. But then she nods. I need to forget. More than that, I need it all gone from my mind. I need it destroyed. Can you do that? Darandel is so small and inhuman that it is nigh on impossible to read their expression. They seem to consider Darksong, their tiny wings fluttering ever rapidly behind them. After a painfully long moment, they do reply, yes, but it will change you. Can you be more specific? What do you mean, it will change her? The memories are a part of her being. Darandel drops toward the ground, landing on a petal that bounces underneath the weight. Without them, her being is different, changed. Beside you, Darksong clenches her fist tightly as she thinks. More tears well in her eyes, and you see her eyes ball closed if the memories are playing on her mind. Without them, I will be who I am supposed to be. I won't keep going as I am. You could fight? Have you considered trying to fight whatever you are running from? Ending this once and for all? That is so much easier said than done. She looks at you with a mixture of anger and sadness. You don't know. You don't want to know. Just trust me, there is no winning that fight. Her arms tighten. Her fingers clench so tightly around her hood now that you think she might have some trouble breathing. Again, she trembles, and I'm so tired. This is why I gotta stop playing these games at night, because, like, I'm tired, and I'm just like, girl, y'all keep playing this, you don't want to know. You don't want to know. And if I was to just be like, all right, deuces, and leave you to your own machinations, I'm literally just trying to get all the help that I can to fight this fiend for my own benefit. And all these people are just like, are constantly pushing everyone away. And it's like, they don't want to help for the benefit of all of us, but are desperately in need of help. Like, you desperately in need of help, but don't want none. I don't know. This is annoying me. Again, she trembles and closes her eyes as tears fall down her cheek. I can't keep going as I am. I can't. It's been so long, and it hurts so much. Unless I do this, I will never be free of that. She grits her teeth and positively spits through them with anger and conviction. I don't deserve that. I don't. You still won't be free, but you can't give up, but this is not the way. I don't think this is the way, but changing who you are by forgetting it all. That's not the way to move past it. That's just denial. That she has no answer to. Her expression twists into an annoyed, conflicted mess, and then she turns away from you. She finally releases her hood, though, keeping a tight grip on her arms instead. You take a small break in the conversation to look around. Darandel is still nearby, hoping from one petal to another as they wait for a final decision. Other fairies flit by about too, though their childlike laughter from before has died down now. You turn back to Darksong, who is glowering as she paces around in a small circle. You're scared? She shoots a dark look at you, but you continue forwards with your argument. I don't know what it is you're going through, but I do understand that. The fiend has made us all confront ourselves. It has been equally terrifying every time it has struck. But we are still here. We have to face it. I wish it hadn't found me. I do. But it did, and it is too late to change that now. But what if you can change it? Darksong rubs her hands together and then rubs her arms as she continues to pace. The fiend haunts us with what is already inside our mind. What if it isn't there? What if that is the escape? You freeze at that. You can't deny it is tempting. It may be worth trying if there was any way to know in advance if it would work. But then reality sets in, and you know that it is a fantasy. You can't be that certain. This is a shortcut. I still failed my exams, Darksong. I still disappointed the people who spent years trying to teach me. I could go back to the Pentagram Academy not knowing that, and they would be the first to remind me. Just as you still have your scars. They won't disappear just because you don't remember where they came from. At that, she stops pacing and stops rubbing her arms to glance down at them. All you can do now is wait to see whether she will change her mind. She stands and stares at her gloved arms for what seem like a long while. After that, she rubs the scar on her right side of her neck and her eyes bulge shut. You hear her groan as both arms finally fall back to her sides. It will be a disaster. Even if we survive the fiend, if I don't do this, I will either have to go back or there will be chaos. Wherever I go. That is a matter of fact. But I have enjoyed this weeks of peace so much. I do not want to go back. You can get through it. Perhaps time will help. One thing at a time. You can protect. What? Perhaps time will help. Perhaps time will help you, either to prepare or to escape. She gives you a very doubtful look and then sighs and closes her eyes again. Darendel. Darendel zips up from where they were waiting, hovering at the Darksong's height. Darksong gives them a soft, sad smile. I am sorry for wasting your time. Don't be sorry. You just about see the fairy give a shrug of their arms and shoulders. You needed this. That makes it worth it. You can't be sure, but you think Darendel smiles, and Darksong laughs as she wipes away more tears. Darendel flies backwards so they can turn to you both in turn. We will give you some peace. Good luck. The fairy snaps their tiny fingers together, and then the sound makes it much louder than it should be. You stagger backwards, blinking in surprise. You blink again, and your eyes just adjust to the new levels of light. The strange otherworldly flowers still sit on the grassy floor, a bit much darker than they were. But the face of the motes of light, the ethereal colors of the fairies themselves, are all vanished. Without them, the air lies still and joyless. The night seems empty and devoid of life. Next to you, Darksong takes another deep breath, looking around the clearing, and then at you. I'm sorry to you as well. None of this is really your concern. I didn't want for you to be dragged into it. I followed you here, girl. Like, I really could've. I had other shit that I was supposed to be doing, so, like, you ain't really, like, I'm pissed at you going through all of this and making more problems for me, but, like, I did just follow you out into the woods when I could've just minded my business. I followed you here. If anything, I should be apologizing for that. Darksong gives a soft chuckle, but doesn't reply. She reaches down and opens the pouch at her belt, fishing around inside for a moment. She pulls out the figurine you've seen her working on so often, holding it in her palm. You aren't sure where she found the time to complete it, but you can see that it has been where before the edges are still sharp and blocky, now everything has been smoothed and detailed. A tiny elven form in a dancing pose stood on a small circular base. With a heavy breath, Darksong wraps her fingers around it tightly in a form of embrace. Even if I went home, it would not be the same. Very gently, she sets the figurine down, balancing it carefully on the top of one of the otherworldly flowers. After a couple of small adjustments, it lies there, perfectly still, and Darksong closes her eyes. Rest now in peace, Valaria. As it comes as close to home as you can be. With that, she stands back up again, rubbing is that her real name? Rubbing the insides of her arms as she turns to you. We should return to the camp. Tomorrow was already going to be long enough without all this. It isn't the first time I have trekked across these hills. If we hurry, we might still make it back before dawn. I will find us a quicker route to take. Come on. Oh, good. Alright, what time is it? It's 1:23, so I'm gonna have to... 1:23. I've been recording for an hour and 23 minutes. And it's getting late, and I'm trying not to stay up too late. Because it's 10 o'clock now, and that's when I said I was gonna stop recording. So, I'm gonna end it here. It looks like... I don't want to say I'm tying up loose ends, but it seems like I am doing my best to keep as many people together and alive so we can fight this fiend. And I don't feel like... I mean, I kept Darksong. Like, she really thought she could forget the memories. Like, it's not gonna erase everyone else's memories. Whatever you did and whatever everyone thinks of you is still gonna be there. Like, they're still gonna treat you like garbage. If anything, erasing all of your memories are just going to start the trauma over. You're gonna go back to your elven peoples and they're gonna be like, there go that bitch. And then that trauma cycle is just going to start over. Like, and you won't even remember that you've already been through this. Like, you know, it's better to just learn to accept, heal, and move on than try to forget. Like, come on now, she's an elf. She's supposed to know that. She's supposed to have, like, words of wisdom. She's supposed to know that. Alright, but if you enjoyed this playthrough, go ahead and leave a like on the video. Subscribe if you're new here. And as always, thank you for stopping by. Bye!